Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show we have tips and reports for you from Jarrett McCarthy down at Hayward Bait and Bottle, and then we talk ice fishing with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Noah Glitto. Lots to cover on this week's show, all coming up right after these messages.
Save on your new Polaris snowmobile with a holiday sales event at Hayward Power Sports. Most remaining 2024 models offer rebates up to $2,000 or financing as low as 1.99% for 36 months, plus a 2-year promotional warranty. From relaxing two-up trail cruising to aggressive trail attacking, we have your machines. Meanwhile, the new 2025 Polaris Indy XCR features the new 9R Patriot engine for unbeatable response and acceleration. Get your new Polaris sled today at Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake-down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu. And while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
Down at Hayward Bait and Bottle, talking to Jarrett McCarthy down here. Jarrett, you getting quite a few people going out on the ice out there.
Absolutely, got plenty of people, including myself, headed out onto the ice right now.
How much ice were you finding out there? I know you were on one of the flowages.
Yep, so the main lake that I was on, we had about 5 to 6 inches in most spots. We had other spots that still had, 2 or 3 or what have you. So it varies out there depending on where you're at right now, but there is safe ice to fish out there right now.
It depends where you go up here in the north. I mean, some places got a little more snow than others, but that snow with this warm weather and a little bit of rain, that's kind of knocking that down, so we're just going to make better ice, I think.
It's going to be perfect. This warm weather that we've had going to get rid of most of that snow, so we've got nothing that's insulating the ice or creating any kind of layer in between the formation of the ice. So when we get that cold a little bit later this week, it's just going to make some perfect ice. And then, once we get 8 to 10 inches, then we could use a little bit of snow on top. But right now, ice forming conditions look ideal.
And as far as the fishing out there, what are you hearing here at the shop, and what did you see when you were out there?
Fishing has been really good so far, and that's to be expected on early ice. Usually that first, 3 weeks of December out there before we get a lot of snow cover, when we can still get some sun rays penetrating the ice. A lot of those fish are still really shallow right now. They're still kind of in that fall feed mode right now. Getting a lot of bass and northern on tip-ups. We got some reports of walleyes coming through, and the panfish have been, loaded up in these shallower bays.
And that's kind of, the ice out there is really clear ice this year, too.
It really is, which is good and it's bad. It's good because, that clear black ice, that's good ice. That's stuff that we want to lay our pillars on for the season. But it's also bad because those fish can be really spooky, especially when you're fishing that shallower water.
It's kind of like looking through a window. I mean, you could look down on some of the clear lakes and see the weeds and stuff, but the fish could look up and they see anything moving over the top of them, too.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. It's like you're using a camera, but you're not using a camera, especially if you're sight fish. You just drill 2 holes, fish in your top hole, and look through your bottom, and it's so interesting to be able to look at the fish and how they're reacting to your bait, especially when they cruise through in clear, shallow water or what have you. But, obviously it's a double-edged sword. Those fish can, look up and they can see you and they spook real easily.
Okay, now the walleyes. Walleye fishing, they've been actually, normally the evening has been the best time, or what?
Absolutely. Those dusk periods, so when you're getting to that 3:30 to 5 o'clock, and then obviously you'll get a couple of flags after dark, and that's what you put lights on your tip-ups for or what have you. But yeah, right now it's kind of a tip-up bite only because we've got such shallow ice. If you're sitting out there jigging or what have you, it doesn't take much foot traffic or movement to spook those fish. So putting those set lines out and putting light on that tip up, it makes a world of difference of staying off the ice and staying away from that set line.
And you got that tip up, you can put it out a little earlier, and you got, your pike will bite all the way up to get the evening hours, and then they quit, then the walleye start.
I mean, we got a pike or two after dark the other day, and it's so discouraging to see one of those toothy critters come to the hole when you're sitting at like 5:30, 6 o'clock instead of a walleye. It's like, man, shouldn't you guys be sleeping by now? So, but yeah, fishing's been good.
Okay, panfish. You said panfish are in the weeds. You're just using panfish rigs and stuff?
Yeah, just little panfish jigs. You got some guys that are running tip downs right now, which is another set line version for really spooky fish. A lot of guys are just running some live bait right now. It seems like those fish are still looking for meat right now. They're not quite keyed in on that really little stuff like we will be later into December, January, and, the rest of winter right now. So it seems like fish are still thinking for a big meal.
If you're out there, we're losing a lot of that snow, but you might find that some of the lakes there might be a little snowdrift or something there yet, and you get on that weed edge. Would you recommend sitting on top of that snow fishing, because that's going to shield you from the fish more than sitting on the clear ice?
It's structure on top of the ice, and it sounds so weird, but when you have snow on top of the ice, it's shielding your shadow and anything that you're doing from the fish underneath. It's also kind of like a darkness line, so when that sun comes out, it casts a shadow over that snow. It's kind of like a shelf or what have you for those fish to run along and just kind of keep them concealed a little bit more, as if they were swimming out, in plain daylight, over those weeds or what have you. So it's stuff to look at when you're looking at stuff on top. And that also goes when ice starts to make heaves and what have you. And when you start getting cracks in the ice, it's just kind of little things that you need to key in on above the ice.
Kind of like a floating swim raft in the summertime. A lot of times the bass and stuff will sit underneath that raft.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a perfect way to think of it.
As far as northern pike, has that been mostly the tip-ups, but shiners, suckers, what's the best bait?
Shiners and suckers are working equally well right now. It seems like lately we've had more success on shiners than we have on suckers, but that'll usually change over once we get to midwinter. Shiners are usually a great deal early ice because they give off a little bit more movement, a little bit more flash or what have you, and then as soon as these lakes start to calm down, that sucker with just a little bit less wiggle will start to entice a lot more fish.
I think we're a little better off here as far as ice conditions than farther east, because the farther east you go, even out by Moose Lake, we had more snow than they had in town here, it seemed like it. The farther east you went, they got dumped on pretty good over there, so their ice conditions can't be as good.
Yeah, exactly. But on hindsight, I have talked to a couple people that are out east, and it seems like these last couple of days of warm weather have really knocked down that snow. Not all of it or what have you, but it'll be increasing ice conditions over there as well.
And we still have the tail end of the archery season. Still be a few guys out. As long as the weather stays fairly moderate, good time to go out. And if you didn't get that buck yet, get a chance at one.
Yep, they're out there. Absolutely.
And Jarrett, I know you guys got everything here in the shop set up. You got a real big selection of stuff. And I know you were restocking the shelves already this morning on ice fishing jigs and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of new gear in here. Make sure you stop on by and check out Clamp's new plastics. They're Niku plastics. I'm sure those are going to be featured all over the place this year. We got sales on augers and shacks here in the building. Make sure you check out our Facebook page every week where, we do kind of an ice report right here, but we're going to give you an up-to-date ice report on different lakes around the area. So make sure you stop by on Friday mornings to check us out.
Well, Jared, I want to thank you a lot. And like you said, you got a lot of stuff here. And if you're looking at already starting doing your Christmas shopping, you're just looking for them little items for maybe a stocking stuffer. There's nothing better than jigs and tackle and stuff.
Absolutely. Makes for one heck of a stocking.
You will. Jared, I want to thank you for taking the time here.
Thanks for having me again, John.
Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking ice fishing with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Noah Glitto. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hunters and anglers, Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop in Hayward. They have a huge selection of ice fishing gear, including portable shelters, power augers, electronics, beaver dam tip-ups, ice rods, and just about anything you'll need for ice fishing. They also have archery supplies, bows, crossbows, muzzle loaders, ammo, and much more to help you enjoy the outdoors. While you're there, check out the bottle shop for a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor, too. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
You wanna get outdoors, you wanna have some fun.
A new Can-Am side-by-side is the perfect companion for all seasons. Hayward Powersports still has an awesome selection of new 2024s, and they currently offer rebates up to $2,000 or 2.99% financing for 36 months. If you like the creature comforts, the very popular Can-Am Defender Limited HD10 offers a $1,500 rebate to go along with its full cab, including heat and AC. Looking for a value price machine? The Can-Am Defender XT HD7 features a winch, roof, front bumper, and full skid plate. With a $1,500 rebate, it's all yours for just $14,899. Maybe you need a little more muscle. Unleash the power of the Can-Am Defender XT HD9 or 10 with $1,500 rebates. With the money you save, you can outfit your new Can-Am with a plow, cab accessories, and so much more. Your new all-season companion is waiting at Hayward Powersports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Certain restrictions apply. Subject to credit approval. See your dealer for details.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors, and this part of the show is brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, the open water season is behind us now, and we're well into the ice fishing season and making ice on a daily basis out there, and a lot of people starting to get out there ice fishing. On this week's show, we talk ice fishing with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Noah Glitto. Noah, good to have you on the show here as we're coming into winter here.
Yeah, coming into winter, always a little bit of anticipation before you get a little excited and you want to go out and fish.
We're setting up for a really good ice fishing season right now. As long as we don't get dumped on by a bunch of snow with the temperatures we got, we're going to continue to make ice.
Yep, we've got cold weather still coming through. Hopefully we build up a solid amount of ice before we get any snow. The years past, snow kind of really ruined it. You know, it insulates that ice. It doesn't allow it to form good. You get slushy and it gets messy, and it can just be a pain to fish.
Let's talk about that first ice fishing. We should talk a little bit about ice safety. You want to be safe when you go out there and make sure that you take all the precautions to make sure you got plenty of ice and the right equipment and gear and carry, go out with a buddy or something. But as far as finding fish out there in first ice, it's not about getting out to the deepest water in the lake either.
No, it's not always about getting out to the deepest water. It might be that first weed line. It might be a shallow little sand drop or something that the perch are hanging out on, or the leftover cabbage that the crappies are sitting in or the bluegills are living in. And if you set up a tip-up, you might even catch yourself a walleye, a northerner bass.
I've set tip-ups as shallow as where I've got maybe 3 feet of ice, water underneath the ice. It just is. Sometimes that's extremely shallow. It depends on the lake and the conditions, and what these fish can go anywhere in the lake once the water temperature gets equal.
Yep, some of the biggest walleyes we've caught through the ice are very shallow, very, very shallow, 3, 4, 5 feet of water where they come in at night to hang out at night.
I don't know what's the reason over here, everybody kind of focuses on tip-ups, but when I talk to some of my friends over in northern Minnesota, it's either they can run 2 lines, so they'll set up basically a dead stick out there, and then they'll use a jigging rod.
I think in Minnesota, the populations of fish may be slightly different, and the fish in Minnesota are more nomadic, where they are going to swim through and you can kind of just sit in a spot and wait for them to come to you, whereas here in Wisconsin, the fish kind of spread out a little bit more along a weed line or a point or something, and setting a bunch of tip-ups and waiting for them to come through, you'll be more effective that way.
But I don't think we should totally rule out the jigging, and we're starting to see more people do that here now, too.
Definitely don't rule out the jigging. If you can find the spot where those fish are moving down that little fish highway underwater, and you hang out there, fish will come through.
And nowadays, everything's changed so much, ice fishing, with the equipment, the gear we've got, the warm weather for warm gear to be out on the ice and clothing and stuff. Electronics has been a big deal. Electronics, we started out with like Vexilars and flashers years ago, but we've progressed way beyond that.
Yep, everybody's getting their own version of the forward-facing sonar. I run a Garmin LiveScope. It's an incredible tool for helping you find fish and get on fish. But we're noticing that you can look at a school of fish, a school of crappies or bluegills or perch or whatever they are, and if you go and drill a hole on top of them, they will scatter. And it's not necessarily that the sonar is scaring them, it's just that the drilling of the hole, the walking on the ice, those fish are learning what that means, so they kind of spook off. So sometimes you got to drill holes and wait about a half an hour for the fish to fire up.
You know, I believe that actually sonar can affect them too. The pinging of the sonar, the sound on the ice, it all comes down to things that they basically will avoid. And if you start learning what these fish do out there, you get out there in open water and you're running a boat and you go watch them in live sonar, because you're watching with forward-facing sonar, you're watching the fish actually swimming. You can see everything that's going on. And you approach a school of crappies that's maybe 10 feet down over, 20 feet of water. And as you get close to them with a boat, all of a sudden they just condense into a tight ball and head straight for the bottom. They're reacting negatively to something, whether it's the boat, the sonar, or whatever, but it's the presence we're there. So a lot of people don't realize that those fish get kind of really spooky out there.
Right, the fish associate certain things with danger, and if they're associating the danger with the pinging of the sonar or the presence of the boat in the shadow, the displacement of the water, when you drill a hole, when you walk on the ice, if they associate that kind of stuff with danger, it will set them off.
One of my friends, we talked about that being quiet out there too. A friend of mine from northern Minnesota, Bro Brosdahl, we talked about that in one of the shows here, and he said when you get that first ice out there, you got to be extremely careful, and you're creating a shadow underneath walking across the ice, because the ice is transparent basically. If you find an area that's got a little mound of snow, that's where you want to set up and fish basically, versus out there on the glare ice where you can see down through the ice.
Yep, like the shadow of a boat or the shadow of a person or a kayak or a paddleboard. Those shadows will travel through that water a lot more than you think they will and can spook those fish.
First ice too is good northern pike fishing, and we've got a bunch of lakes up here that they actually want people to harvest a few more pike on, and pike fishing can be actually a lot easier. It's an all-day bite thing, not versus that wait until the evening thing.
Northerns they're always biting. It's always good action. It's pretty easy to set up for them. Get yourself a shiner, get yourself a sucker, put a treble hook on it, a little bit of weight, sink them down to the bottom. Then you wind them up, 2 or 3, 4 feet off the bottom, and you just kind of let them swim. Almost anywhere you go, you can catch lots of northerns, whether it's the weed beds or it's a point or it's the deepest spot in the lake. There's fish hanging around those northerns. They're always active in the cold water. They're fun to catch through a tip-up, hand line fighting them, and they're actually very good table fare if you do keep them and clean them.
Yeah, and don't overlook setting 1 or 2 year tip-ups extremely high, maybe 5 feet under the ice, because they'll come up after it.
Yep, here in Wisconsin, it is legal to catch a panfish like a crappie, a bluegill, or a perch and put him on a tip-up. You just have to realize that counts as part of your daily limit. A lot of times, if I catch a small perch, I'll put a small perch right below the ice, and that seems to catch the biggest northerns.
And as far as we mentioned the gear and everything getting better and changing. I mean, ice fishing used to be, you had a little permanent shack out there, or you sat on a bucket out there, and you got cold if you did that. But equipment, the gear. I mean, we were sitting in one of these otter shacks. It flips over the top. It's got insulated material. You put a little buddy heater in there. You can stay toasty all day long out there if you want. And you can move it around real quick if you want to, because it's on a sled.
Yep, there's lots of different ways where you can stay pretty mobile and stay pretty comfortable. Me, myself, I wear a Wind Rider float suit that is very, very warm. It's very, very mobile. I got full range of motion with it. It's got plenty of pockets. I can pretty much store a bunch of lures in my pockets, some plastics, a little bit of minnow jugs if you want to throw a minnow in your pocket. And I just walk out on the ice with, my auger, my bucket with my fishing pole and a Vexilar, and I can pretty much go anywhere I want to and stay warm.
You mentioned them float suits, and almost all the manufacturers got them right now. And people that aren't aware of it, if you fall through the ice, it's with, say, Carhartts or something like that on, it's very difficult to get back out of the ice and up on top of the ice, where if you're wearing one of the float suits, you basically go float horse out on the water, and you can pretty much just crawl right up on top of the ice. That's correct. It comes down to the distribution of your weight on the ice, and you got to remember when you're getting back on that shelf to get back up on the ice, if you got to pull all that extra weight with the heavy water in your Carhartts, you're going to break that shelf, and you'll never get back on the ice. Wearing a float suit is probably the number one safety tool in ice fishing now, besides wearing ice picks. Well, folks, we need to take yet another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll have the second part of that talk we had with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Noah Glitto. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore-sight it for you too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Hey folks, the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach on Highway K between the Big Lakes has groceries, ice, beer, liquor, and pop, and now has all new tackle and bait supplies. All current antiques and household items are now on sale and all must go to make room for the sport shop. That's at the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach between the Big Lakes.
Start winter on a Ski-Doo from Hayward Power Sports. For a limited time, get up to $2,000 in rebates, take advantage of financing as low as 1.49%, or get up to 3 years of warranty coverage on select remaining 2024 Ski-Doo snowmobiles. We have a good selection of models, but limited numbers of each, so don't miss out. Or step up to the new 2025 Ski-Doo MXZ XRS with the competition package featuring the 180 horsepower 850 E-Tech Turbo R, the most powerful two-stroke engine on snow. See us today at Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
If you'd like to have your time fishing be more enjoyable and productive, hiring a fishing guide can be a good investment. Whether it's learning more about fish patterns throughout the year, learning how to use your depth finder to find the best spots and fish, learn how to use that GPS to get the most out of it, or learn better boat control, a day on the water with a guide can really help you to be a better angler as well as make a day on the lake very enjoyable. To book a guide trip this year or get more information, you can find us on the internet at www.wiscnorthlandoutdoors.com and then just click on Area Guides.
Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And folks, we're going to jump right back into the second part of that talk we had with fishing guide Noah Glitto. Noah, you were talking a little bit about, you mentioned forward-facing sonar earlier in this conversation, and this is kind of changing the topic a little bit there, but this new electronics draws a lot more power than what we're used to pulling out there on the ice. And you obviously you don't want to carry around a 25-pound battery. So we've got another option out there, and you use them, I use them too. And lithium batteries out there. I run them in my boats. I run them in everything. And incredibly light batteries. We're running amped batteries, which is one of the major brands out there. But very, very good performance out of those batteries now.
Yep, both me and you, we run the Amped Outdoors batteries in our boats. I run mine in my Vexlar, my Vexlars. It keeps them pretty lightweight, and I run it in my live scope. I run about a 32 amp hour in my live scope that'll last me 10 to 14 hours depending on the conditions. If it gets real cold, those batteries don't do as well, so you try to keep them a little insulated in that little ice bundle you got, and they'll definitely lighten up the load. If I were to put a lead battery in that live scope, it would probably weigh all of 40 pounds, the whole kit combined. With the lead lithium battery, I'm looking at about 18, 19 pounds.
Yeah, I figure I took 150 pounds out of my boat alone, my big guide boat. And actually the batteries run longer. That voltage stays up on them than I ever saw before running regular traditional lead acid batteries.
Yep, on a lithium battery, that voltage will stay the same throughout the entire discharge time of that battery. So from the moment you start using it to the moment that it's out of power, it'll stay at whatever voltage that battery is designed to be at. Whereas with the lead acid battery, you'll start at 12.8, you'll drop down to 12.4, you'll drop down to 12, then you'll get into the 11s and then into the 10s, and then your battery's done. And what we've seen is when you're fishing with these advanced electronics that, the side imaging, the forward-facing sonar, even the trolling motors now, if you drop in voltage, you lose the quality of the image you're getting on your screen, and on the trolling motors, you won't get as much thrust out of your motors.
You don't gain anything running over the 12 volts, but you definitely lose once it start dropping down.
That's correct.
Let's talk about something else here as far as fishing goes, panfish. A lot of people don't get out after the panfish. We mentioned earlier in this that a lot of people want to focus on the walleyes and the northerns early in the season, but the panfish will still bite very good. You don't have to go out in the deepest part of the lake to find them. On some lakes, you can find the smaller, shallower lakes where the panfish are on the weed edges or weed lines, and you can catch panfish pretty good out here this time of year.
Yeah, some of my favorite ice fishing is actually on lakes that I can't get my boat into. Lakes that I walk out into. It doesn't really have much of a boat landing. They don't get fished in the summer. They really even don't get fished much in the winter, but you find those little secret gems. You can get on some real good panfish bites for crappies, bluegills, and perch. Some of those lakes don't have a great game fish population like walleyes, bass, and northern, so the panfish really take off. There's big numbers of them and great size.
Yeah, well, the one thing I will bring up on that, too, is that these very small puddles and small lakes, you want to be very careful what you harvest off those lakes, because if you got a 30-acre lake, it doesn't take much or too many people selectively picking off the biggest panfish to really injure the lake.
That's right. A lot of times when we go out, catch and release. If I got a client out and they want to keep some fish for a fish fry, we'll keep enough for a fish fry, but typically I only like to keep what we'll eat during one fish fry. I don't like keeping enough to freeze for multiple meals. I think that the meat is best fresh, so we only keep what we need to eat.
And the other advantage on them smaller lakes, too, is that most of them are shallower lakes, under 20 feet of water or around 20 feet at the most, and you don't get the burial trauma pulling crappies up. If you do find them out there in deeper water, they're usually a lot more releasable, so you don't have to worry about, killing extra fish or whatever.
That's right. Mortality rate is always a conversation when it comes to fishing deep water crappies, deep water bluegills, whatever fish you're catching that's really deep. Anything past about 25 feet of water, you got to be careful on how you release those fish. Uncut Angling, Aaron Weeb does a very good video explaining how that works on YouTube and shows how taking a quick picture and getting a proper release within 30 seconds of you catching the fish will result in a successful, healthy fish.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to more people need to start thinking about, is keeping less fish, practicing very safe fish handling, whether you're dealing with crappies and bluegills or muskies. And it's becoming a thing where it's going to be more important for the individual sportsman to be trying to do as good as they can as far as preserving the fishery, not just saying, well, it's the job of the DNR.
Right. It's not the DNR to handle the fish for you when you catch it. I see many times where a fish is out of water and one guy's got to take a picture with it, then the next guy wants to hold it, take a picture with it, then the next guy, and the fish is out of the water for 10, 15 minutes. Well, the fish might swim off a little bit, but there's been some irreversible damage done to that fish.
And ice fishing, releasing the fish, don't keep them, if it's super cold out, don't keep them out of the water very long at all, just a second or two, because the first thing will freeze their eyes.
Yep, their eyes will freeze, their fins will freeze, starts to shut them down. If you ever had a fish out of water for a while and you go to put him in the hole and he just kind of sits there, it may be time to think about if you want to harvest that fish and keep it.
Okay. Well, Noah, a lot of great information there. You want to share some information on how they get a hold of you as far as guiding or anything?
You can find me on my website, noahglittoguiding.com. You can contact me through my cell phone, 612-616-6287. Or you can walk right into the bait store here, Hayward Bait. You can ask any of the employees for my information. They'll help you out.
Well, thanks a lot, Noah.
Always a pleasure.
Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, go to our website at wnoradio.com. From there, you can link to our podcast site, and the show is also on Spotify and Google Podcasts every week. And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com. Thanks for listening, folks. We're out of time, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you.
Listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.